revelation I've had since I've started the Compassion Method journey about why prayer is actually very hard for me. I believe that God exists. I believe that He loves me, but I have a really hard time thinking that He cares enough to listen to what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Not just your prayer mattered, that you mattered enough to be listened to.
Well, you got to go deep. Can I just stay a little shallower?
Yeah, it is just the gift of being heard.
Just keep taking me deeper.
Kind of like a pin on a balloon. It's so inflated because you're so excited, and then all of a sudden, be quiet. It just takes all the air out of that moment. Child self and heightened excitement is going to feel like all the air just left. And you're going to feel that pain so much deeper.
I'm starting to realize that introvert is just me putting parts of myself away.
Put away our chattiness, and we put away our excitement, we put away our joy because it didn't serve to connect with your dad. That's my favorite thing about the Compassion Method is that you don't have to cut people off. But you don't have to cut people off, which makes your world very small. That's why we leave churches. That's why we leave our families. That's why we leave jobs. Because we're becoming less because our pain is more.
So what are we becoming? Less or more? Hello and welcome everyone to this episode of Triggered and True. Today we are in part 2 of talking about how the Compassion Method can empower us to live the truths discussed in the Bible. And in our last episode, we talked quite a bit about how the Compassion Method can empower us to forgive others, deal with the spirit of offense, manage our anger, or not just manage our anger, but actually get to the root of it. Because we're not behavior management, right, Laura?
No, it doesn't usually work very well. So we steer a little clear of that.
Behavior management is just a lot of try harder, and it takes the emphasis off of why the behavior is there in the first place.
Exactly.
And we want to get to the root of the behavior because we do want to manage our behavior, but we want to get to the root.
Yes, exactly. I guess that's managing it more from compassion than just behavior,
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and then we kind of finished up our conversation in the last episode talking about the fruits of the Spirit. And Laura helped me, a quote she had shared with me a long time ago that I could never quite wrap my head around. She helped me with, and she helped all of the listeners with in the last episode. We were talking about a quote she has where she says, "You can't do self-control because it is a fruit." We can't do kindness, patience, and all the fruits of the Spirit, just like you can't tell an orange to grow.
Mm-hmm. And that's actually kind of what you were talking about with the roots. It's like it grows from that versus us trying to create it ourselves.
Yeah, it just happens.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, similar to the love chapter. We've brought that up before, of how in Corinthians, when it talks about the love chapter, when love abides in us, when compassion abides in us, it's the fruit.
Yeah. Well, and then today we are going to kind of pick up just talking about some other things from scriptures, different things the Bible talks a lot about that can be very hard to do if our hearts are stuck in our pain.
Yeah.
And the first one I want to talk about is prayer. And I want to start off by sharing a personal story and kind of a revelation I've had since I've started the Compassion Method journey about why prayer is actually very hard for me. And I was able to make this connection, interestingly, just recently. So my struggle with prayer is really along the lines of, I don't feel as though I believe that God exists. I believe that He loves me. I believe that I believe those things, but I have a really hard time thinking that He cares enough or has enough time on His hands or whatever to listen to what I'm saying. Yeah. and to do that. And I kind of connected with where that's coming from. So it's kind of a deficiency and a lack of being heard.
Yeah.
And as I was mining this out, I connected with a time in childhood when I was with my dad. And I grew up on a farm. as I've discussed before. And I had the opportunity, I don't know if it was a day off of school or what it was, but I had the opportunity to ride with him in the big grain truck to haul corn to the river to get put on a barge and get shipped overseas. So that was like a really big highlight to get to ride in the big truck. So I remember I was really, really excited. Well, I'm sure as a little kid, I was pretty chatty. I do remember that. I was pretty chatty. And now people would say that chatty's maybe not the way they would describe me. So
interesting.
That's another layer there.
Little childhood adult discrepancy.
Yes. So I was really chatty, and I'm sure the whole way to the the river terminal where we were hauling the grain to, I talked my dad's ear off. And then on the way home, I'll never forget where we were. We were crossing this one spot on the road that I remember to this day where we were. And I remember him telling me basically to be quiet. Like I had kind of probably talked his ear off just a little bit too much. And I remember him being rather annoyed with me. So I think that was potentially just a microcosm of kind of the disconnect I would feel from my dad if I was too chatty or asked too many questions or whatever. And I recognized that I had overlaid that lack of feeling heard in my relationship with God.
Yeah.
And it was impacting my confidence in prayer.
Yeah.
That it mattered. Because that's what I lacked.
You mattered.
Right.
Not just your prayer mattered, that you mattered enough to be listened to.
Well, you got to go deep. Can I just stay a little shallower?
Yeah, it is just the gift of being heard.
You just keep taking me deeper.
Well, one thing I did want to share about that really quick before you share more is often the reason why I like holidays and big events, birthdays, and that experience probably was so much more painful than it would have been if it hadn't been like a highlight moment. So, you feel so excited.
Right.
So then when he's like, stop talking, even if we're parents, he probably was just literally wanting to break from it,
Yeah, right.
It's so much more intensified. It's not your average day. It's not your average expectation. It's not your average excitement. It's a heightened felt experience that you got to go with him and you got to ride there and you're so excited. And then you kind of think of it like a pin on a balloon. It's, it's so inflated because you're so excited. And then all of a sudden, be quiet. It just takes all the air out of that moment, which hurts so much more because if we didn't have that much expectation and excitement, we would have just gone down this much. I guess it's people are not watching, but if you're listening, you just go down a little bit.
Yep.
But when you're super high and excited and enjoying it, you're going to fall so much further and it's going to imprint and hurt so much more. And I just wanted to say that for you, Brian, but also for people listening, that there's reasons why, even if it doesn't seem like a huge deal, like your dad just told you to be quiet because you were just chatting his ear off.
Right.
It might not sound like the biggest deal, but child self and heightened excitement is going to feel like all the air just left.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to feel that pain so much deeper.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that does make a lot of sense because I sure was excited to get to ride in the truck. Because, like I said, it must have been a day off of school or something because normally the grain terminal's not open, when I'm not at school or something like that.
Yeah.
So it was
extra special.
Yeah, it was extra special. Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. And it really, we know that one of the many reasons why this is so important to do this heart work and to go after these things, because we project these deficiencies that we have in our childhood development with our parents. We project that to God.
Yep. Exactly.
And I was doing it subconsciously. I didn't even know that I was doing this till recently. Because I was like really just getting curious, like you talk a lot about, like just getting curious, like, why do I not think my prayer matters?
Yeah.
Because I know it's important. I mean, the Bible says to pray without ceasing. So I know it's important for lots of different reasons.
Yeah.
Big reason is, how do you have a relationship with someone you don't talk to? You know,
True.
so having a conversation, which is what prayer is, ideally is a conversation. So that was good to spend some time with that. And hopefully, if someone else is listening to this, whether it's any of these topics we're talking about, I hope that it gives you encouragement to think, or just opens your eyes to see that, oh, wow, that is a block in my relationship with God.
Yeah.
And it's coming from this place back here.
Yep, exactly. One other thing that I wanted to share about prayer too is many times we're in a triggered state when we're praying. So it's going to bring up, just like you got curious and you realized that you were feeling, those feelings of not being heard or not being valued in those moments. I don't know if value is considered, but it kind of reminds me of that too. But being heard wasn't happening. And I think it's important to recognize that a lot of times we're in a triggered state when we're praying, and that's going to put us into fight or flight or freeze or fawn. And so we're going to have a defense up. We're going to have a wall up. We're going to have, we're going to be on the defense in that moment versus being on the offense of relationship. So a real simple thing to do when you start to pray, am I triggered or am I my true self as I'm praying? And then we might need to take care of some of the pain like you brought up that you experienced so that we can step into prayer from who God designed us to be, not from our triggered self.
Yeah, from a place of peace.
Yeah, and it's real simple. It doesn't have to be this elaborate process. It can just be, you know what? I'm aware that I'm triggered right now. I'm going to take care of my heart, not because God doesn't want to be with us in our triggers. He does want to be with us in our triggers, but it's hard for us to be with God
with Him
when we're triggered. And so if we can take time, do the remote control exercise, connect with ourselves, and then engage in prayer, it's going to be more peaceful, more faith-filled, more able to receive and to give in those moments. Because God loves for us to give to Him, and He loves to give to us. But if we're not in our true self, it's going to limit our ability to have that exchange in prayer.
Yeah, we won't be able to receive.
No.
It'll be hard to hear what He's saying. It'll be hard to hear His voice. It'll be very difficult. No, that's good. And, one of the things that I also kind of got to spend some time with was looking for a gift giver in this area of feeling heard.
Yeah.
And what I landed on was a time with my my uncle and my Uncle Ron. That he's a very popular gift giver in my life. And I remember one time the ladies went somewhere. He was visiting from California, where I live in Illinois, and all the ladies went somewhere else. And we just went to a coffee shop and we sat there for like 3 or 4 hours and just talked, like for a long time. And I probably did most of the talking, but yeah, he was like engaged the whole time. And like, I'll never forget it. It was just really a locked in moment. So yeah, I'm very thankful that, God knew what I was needing and sent a gift giver to give me what I needed, give me what my heart needed. So yeah.
And I love that you added that to it as well, because so often we might get the understanding that we're lacking a gift, but not actually take the time to apply it.
Yep.
And so it's really important to understand why we felt what we felt as children, but then also to make sure we bring a gift giver in and bring the experience in so that we can hear God, or we can believe that God wants to hear us.
Yeah. And in that instance, my uncle was a tangible representative of God standing in that gap, because that is how God listens.
Exactly. Just like Uncle Ron.
Yes. Yep. Exactly.
He's a good listener, but it is. And whenever you doubt, whenever you question, does God want to hear what I have to say? When you picture your Uncle Ron and you picture the real experiences that you've had with him, you're going to see and feel God in the same way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's rich. To me, that's what this is all so good, but it takes it to such a higher level when we connect it to these eternal concepts and these spiritually eternal concepts. So it's good. Yeah. The other thing I've kind of realized is that I always describe myself as an introvert. I'm not entirely sure that I really am 100%.
Wow. No, because when you described your little self, I was like, he's not a little introvert. It doesn't mean you haven't had introverted moments. You are not an introvert.
No. So I'm starting to realize that potentially introvert is just me putting parts of myself away.
Ooh, and I just thought of one thing really quick before we move on. I wonder also if that's connected to like joy and excitement for you too. Because we've talked in the past how sometimes experiencing joy and excitement is a little bit difficult for you.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's connected as well. It didn't just deflate, he doesn't want to hear me. It also deflated your excitement and joy.
Yeah.
And I always kind of think of it as that we put it away.
Right.
Because it didn't serve for connection. So we put away our chattiness and we put away our excitement and we put away our joy because it didn't serve to connect with your dad. But if Uncle Ron was in that seat and he was able to hear not just your words, but your excitement and your joy, it would feel safe and comfortable to be able to feel that within yourself and with God.
Yeah. Well, that's some more homework for me.
Yeah, sorry about that. I got excited about it because I've always seen you as a joyful person, and I know over the years you've said that sometimes it's hard for you to feel joy.
The fun sucker. Like,
yeah.
Exactly.
Yes, that was a word that you thought was who you are, but you realized it wasn't who you are. But also, I would love to see you experience it the same way that your little self experienced that excitement and joy and expectation.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's good. That's good. Well, I'm getting homework. Hopefully listeners are getting homework for themselves as well. So, yeah.
Exactly. We all have it.
The next one, as I was thinking about, different things the Bible talks about and how this process, the compassion method process, helps us connect to doing them and actually living them, is in the area of selfishness. So Matthew 16:24, Jesus says, if anyone would come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. And this verse is a direct challenge to self-centered living. And what's so ironic about this whole process is that when maybe someone, just an outside observer, looks at some of the things that you say, they're like, oh, there's just way too much emphasis on self, Laura. Like you're putting yourself way too much in the forefront.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but here's what's the truth. When we are stuck in our pain, we are the most self-centered people ever.
Self-protecting,
all we see is ourselves.
Yes. Yep, exactly. Even giving is selfish when we're in a triggered state.
Yeah, if you're doing it to try to medicate or feel better about yourself versus from a heart that just, no, I see this so clearly that when we are stuck in our pain, that it's like all you see is your pain. Like all you see is you.
Exactly. And in that triggered place, you cannot connect to unconditional love. That's one of the most selfless things is unconditional love. But triggers make love conditional. I can only give to the degree that I've received. So my love is going to be conditional. Versus unconditional love comes, I am full. I have my needs met. I'm not codependent. I don't need you to do something for me to feel better. I don't need you to get better for me to feel better. I can actually freely, unconditionally give you love and serve and support and encourage because I don't need something from you. I want to be in relationship with you. I want to experience you, but I don't need you to do it to love you. And when we're in a triggered state, we need, consciously or subconsciously, we need people to give us something in that exchange because we're empty. And that is emptiness, is selfishness.
Yeah.
But not from like a horrible place, but from, I don't have anything inside. I'm hungry. So of course I'm going to steal from you because I have no food. But if I'm fed and I'm full, I don't need to take from you for me to be okay.
Yeah. Another big one is how you blame others, or because now the aha moments click, when I see somebody doing something dumb or they do something hurtful, I see their pain.
Yeah.
I don't see that as them.
Mm-hmm.
I see them acting in their pain.
Yeah.
And I don't think I could see that. I know I couldn't see that before the compassion method. I couldn't. I would just probably be very judgmental and all those other things.
And that's when we usually put those boundaries up that are walls,
yeah,
because we're trying to protect ourselves from the other person.
which is all very selfish.
It really is. I can't give to you unless I feel safe. I can't give to you unless you do what I need you to do to make me feel like I'm okay. But you can actually have somebody, I'm not condoning people treating people badly, but you can actually have someone treat you badly, understand and recognize what's behind their behavior, and be able to still love them, even if their behavior isn't okay. And that to me is selflessness, but not selfless in the sense of like a martyr, selfless in the sense of, again, we're back to my needs are met, so I don't need you to behave a certain way for me to love you.
Yeah. Yeah. I just come back to how ironic it is. The most selfless thing you can do is take care of you.
Yeah, it really is. And there's really no other way to do it. And I love that God emphasized that. The Passion Translation translates love your neighbor as you love yourself, to demonstrate love to others as you care for and love yourself. Takes us from servants to relationship, because God wanted us to be well taken care of as we demonstrate love to others.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, what we do for him does matter. Even living it out, like we're talking about this topic of living out the Bible matters, but we matter more. And when it comes from that place, we actually can live out what the Bible is calling us to do.
Well, that's a great segue into the next thing I was going to talk about, which is the Bible talks about a great deal about rewards that are given for our conduct in this life. And I think it can be your triggered self can really misinterpret this. You know what I'm saying? So, so I'll just read a verse here. So Matthew 16:27 says, "For the Son of Man is going to come in glory and majesty of his Father and his angels, and then he will repay each one in accordance with what he has done." So what we do matters. You just said that. The Bible says we will be rewarded for what we do. But why don't you just talk about the misunderstanding and how our triggered self grabs a hold of that versus how our true self would interpret that?
I don't know if this is exactly what you're thinking, but just the idea that came to my head was like what is the reward? And what I think we process that from an earthly standpoint.
We think of that. How many gold stars do we have on the chart?
Exactly.
Yep.
So that inspires us to actually live in shame. The more I do good, the more stars I get, the more God's happy with me, the more I fulfilled my calling on this earth, and God is pleased. Well done, good and faithful servant. We're all wanting to hear that moment of, okay, we did good, and God's pleased with us now because of everything that we did good. But when I think about the reward, I think about eternity. I think about being with, because Jesus died to remove the barrier of doing so that we could be with him. When I think about all the things that we do on this earth, when I get to heaven, I think it's going to be a different reward than we're thinking. I think the reward is going to be relationship and connection, that he can honor the extension of who we are because of what we did. But it would be like, he's looking at the reward we think of is we drew this picture, and he's like, you get a reward because you drew such a good picture. But he's looking more at who we are in what we did. And I do believe the reward comes from him being connected to us in everything that we did. Because at the end of the day, when I think about being rewarded, I'm like, well, what is that? What am I going to get? And we all know gold stars don't really fulfill or satisfy. Right. They feel good in the moment, but they're not that, it doesn't last.
They're not eternal.
But what I think of being lasting is me going to heaven and God looking at me and being like, you were connected to who I created you to be. And you express that through everything you did so that it reflected my image. Well done. Well done of being true to who I created you to be in everything that you did. Because I know as a parent, if my kids came and said everything they did, but I couldn't find them in what they did, it would feel empty. So I don't know exactly what that reward is, but I know it's different sometimes than what we're thinking.
I think the one thing you said that really, really makes a lot of sense is that reward is a relationship. Yeah. And he's not withholding relationship.
No.
We're as close to him as we choose to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's like there for the taking. Yeah. And our true self is able to enter in and take and go into that relationship. Our triggered self, you've talked about this a lot, it's closed off.
Yeah.
So when I think about like when the Bible talks about, there's a verse in 1 Corinthians 3:11 through 15, and I'll just kind of summarize, but it talks about how no one can lay any foundation other than the one already laid, Jesus Christ. But on that foundation, we're building something with our lives. Some build with gold, silver, precious stones, things that last. Others build with wood, hay, and straw, things that look impressive for a moment but don't hold up.
Yeah.
Our triggered self is really good at that.
Mm-hmm.
Building things with wood, hay, and straw.
Quick fix, instant gratification. Yeah. Just get it done so we can get that kudo and get that gold star.
Get the gold star. Yep. Get the check mark. Get whatever, that instant approval, that instant fix. But what lasts is the relationship. And I think this gets kind of heady, but there's something about connecting with God on earth. Because like in heaven, there's going to be a lot less interference. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But there's something that can't be replicated.
Yeah.
About connecting with God on earth in relationship, that we like have this opportunity now that we won't have again.
Yeah. That reminds me of Jeff's book. My husband that passed away, Jeff, he wrote a book during his sickness. And there's this beautiful paragraph. I wish I had it by me. I don't. But there's this beautiful paragraph that's saying that, like, on this earth, we get to be in our triggered states. He didn't say those words exactly, but be in our triggered states.
He didn't have that language yet.
Yes, exactly. But he was able to put into words that we get to serve him and be with him and be connected to him and have a relationship in a way through faith that we won't have in eternity. Because in eternity, we won't need faith. We'll be face to face. We'll be reconnected in whatever tangible form heaven is. We'll be connected. We won't need faith. But that's why I think Jesus says, like, I'm looking for faith on this earth for us to be able to ultimately, how I see it, be connected to our true selves so we can believe like a child and have childlike faith to be connected to God on this earth, even when our eyes can't see tangibleness. That's why I love the tangibility of gift givers, because it makes the tangible known on earth. And then from there, we have faith that God is who he said he is because of that tangible connection that we've experienced.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I love that. And I think that, to me, that's so precious about the compassion method, because it starts off, because when I first came in your office, it started off like, help me get rid of this anxiety.
Mm-hmm. The hot potato. You got to get rid of this. Yeah, the hot potato.
Like, help me get rid of this. There's something wrong with me. I'm broken. Fix me. And okay, well, that isn't the direction that you took me. But the direction that you took me unfolded into something so much more than I ever could have imagined. Yeah. Like, I'm actually going to, as we kind of land this episode, I want to read something that I just read this week from a book. And I want to kind of walk through what the author's saying, because it is so applicable to everything that the compassion method helps humanity do. So,
wait, can I share one thing about?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, you said how we're going to build in Corinthians. Sorry, I'm really bad at paraphrasing, but you're talking about how like we build it. Can you read that one more time?
Yeah. So basically, just kind of a paraphrase of the verse from 1 Corinthians 3:11 through 15 was, some build with gold, silver, precious stones. Others build with wood, hay, and straw. One thing lasts.
Yep.
one thing doesn't.
Yeah. And what I
Burns up.
wanted to say to that really quick before we change subjects is what we're building through the compassion method and connecting to ourselves is eternal. We are going to be with ourselves for all of eternity.
Yeah.
So this isn't just a temporary earthly experience that we're building. So when you think, "Ugh, I don't want to do the work. I don't want to go back to childhood. I don't want to find a gift giver. I don't want to do this process. I just want to be better." Think about it as you're building that gold. And that gold is you. And you're building the thing that lasts because your connection with yourself is going to last for eternity. We're not just going to be connected with God and others for eternity. We're going to be connected to ourselves. So we're actually building something that lasts in our relationship with God here on earth and with our relationship with ourselves for all of eternity. So it's not just temporary for this life that we're going to just feel better without pain and suffering on this earth. It's that we're actually cultivating and connecting and building within ourselves something that's going to last for eternity.
I've thought about that a lot with when you're connecting with the tangible felt gifts from the gift givers. And I remember thinking, like, no matter what happens, that feeling that I felt, no one can ever take that away from me.
Never. And you can never not feel it again. Just like we couldn't stop feeling our pain. Once we receive that tangible love and that tangible connection to the gift giver, we can never stop feeling it. We're still going to feel that in heaven.
Yeah.
I believe.
No, yeah, no. This is definitely training. And it's training, and it's even, like I said, more special because it will be different in heaven. I don't know what it's going to be like, but it's going to be different.
I don't know all those things either, and I'm not assuming the reward or what we're building, but I do know we are the thing that lasts, and our relationship with God is the thing that lasts for eternity.
The one thing that the compassion method helps us do among many things, but it helps us to live a fuller, more expansive life.
Yeah.
So when I read this this week, it really hit home. So I'm going to read something from it's something Eugene Peterson wrote in a book called Run with Horses: The Quest for Life at Its Best. And he wrote this book after, I believe it would have been after he paraphrased most of the Message Bible. So he did a lot of writing. But anyway, so he says, one of the supreme tasks of the faith community is to announce to us early and clearly the kind of life into which we can grow, to help us set our sights on what it means to be a human being complete. Not one of us at this moment is complete. In another hour, another day, we will have changed. We are in the process of becoming either less or more. There are a million chemical and electrical interchanges going on in each of us this very moment. There are intricate moral decisions and spiritual transactions taking place. What are we becoming? Less or more? And I recognize in our pain, our world starts to get really small.
Yeah. Tunnel vision. All we can feel and see is our pain.
So like an old elderly person who refuses to leave the house or develops all these idiosyncrasies, they've just wrapped themselves around their pain. And as their life progressed, it just got smaller and smaller. And I've noticed this in my own life because when you're young, you're blissfully ignorant of a lot of things. And I'm telling you,
you know everything.
but ignorance is bliss. Like not knowing about some of the bad things that can happen is like so blissful. Like we've talked about this with the knowledge of good and evil. Like, how blissful it would be to just be unaware of all these things, you know? Yeah. But as you get older, life happens and you go through things and it presses on that stuff, that pain from that early childhood development. It's pressing on that and it makes you want to close off. Like, I'm not going to put myself out there again.
Yeah.
You know, I'll never forget my little girl when she was little running around. Look at me, look at me, look at me. When she was not conscious yet of the knowledge of good and evil. But then when that consciousness came, don't look at me. Don't look at me. I don't want to be front and center. Yeah. And just how much it breaks my heart. And yeah, so that's the question. Are we becoming, is our world getting smaller or is it expanding?
Yeah.
And for me, the compassion method is what helps it expand, because it
Yes, for
helps
sure.
me go to the root of that pain so that I don't close off, hunker down, and do all those things.
Yeah, that reminds me of when people start to kind of get rid of people in their lives, especially as you get older. You know, when you're younger, you usually have like a lot more friends. You're in high school and college. And, you know, a lot of people will even say that like some of their friendships they have today are because of that. But as we get older and we feel our pain stronger,
we cut people out too.
You cut people out. No, really though.
That guy
That's one of
ticked
my
me off.
favorite. Yeah, exactly. That's my favorite thing about the compassion method is that you don't have to cut people off.
No.
You know, I can't think of a single person I've cut off. I can think of sometimes when my heart is vulnerable and I don't know how to have a relationship with that person, that I'll take some space to take care of my pain and my triggers. But I could still re-engage with them if I wanted to. I can choose. But you don't have to cut people off, which makes your world very small. That's why we leave churches. That's why we leave our families. That's why we leave jobs, because we're becoming less because our pain is more.
That's good. Like I have a little more I want to read. Let me go on.
Keep going.
Yeah, so this is so eloquent. He's such a good writer.
He's a very good writer.
Going on, he says, John, writing to an early community of Christians, said, and this is his paraphrase of 1 John 3:2. But friends, that's exactly who we are, children of God. And that's only the beginning. Who knows how we'll end up? What we know is that when Christ is openly revealed, we'll see him. And in seeing him, become like him. Then he says, we are children. We will be adults. We don't yet see the results of what we are becoming, but we know the goal, to be like Christ, or in Paul's words, to arrive at being fully mature adults, fully developed within and without, fully alive like Christ. Ephesians 4:13. This part's really good. We do not deteriorate. We do not disintegrate. We become. Elsewhere in the Bible, it says, though our outer body is wasting away. Like, that's a great way to think about our outer body. But inwardly, we are being renewed day by day. Yeah. That's what we're doing with the compassion method. Our inner world can keep growing. Our outer body is wasting away. And that's a whole nother trigger we all got to deal with.
Yeah, exactly.
But we could be okay, partially because we know that our inner world is not defined by our outer body.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of, deteriorating, I feel like when our inner world is like strong and full, that I've seen people go through this at like 70 years old and they look so youthful as they're connecting to their child self, as they're getting their needs met, as they're no longer in the less of pain and they're in the more of compassion and love and connection to who they are. They all look so much younger. So yes, we can't control our physical body, but our countenance and how we shine through as we're reflecting God, of course, but also as we're living in that reflection of who we are.
Yep.
Like it's so much more life-giving that even if our body is deteriorating, we are shining through that because our inner world is stronger than our outer world.
Our inner world's expanding. It's still learning. It's still growing. I mean, this is another great place for my uncle. Such a great example. He turns 80 this year.
Wow.
And when I first got exposed to the compassion method with you in 2018, he grabbed right a hold of it too. Like he was just a couple months behind me, once he realized what I was doing and I was explaining it to him, and then they jumped right on board.
Oh, yeah. They went through the school. They're like amazing. And they're a good example. 80. They feel so youthful.
Yeah.
I didn't even know he was going to be 80 because he feels so youthful in that. And so does your Aunt Deborah too, because they're living from that external place, not from becoming less in this world. And I feel like just because we're getting older doesn't mean we're going to live any less unless we believe and think that our external world is more important than our internal world.
Yeah. His last little bit on this topic. He says, William Stafford, who must be a poet, not familiar, but William Stafford was once asked in an interview, "When did you decide to be a poet?" He responded that the question was put wrongly. Everyone is born a poet, a person discovering the way words sound and work, caring and delighting in words. I just kept on doing, he said, what everyone starts out doing. The real question is, why did the other people stop?
That's good.
They stopped because they got stuck in their pain.
Yeah. That's cool. I like that. I love the fact that we're so limited in our pain, but we have so much limitless energy and creativity and wonder and awe, and just all those things are carried in our emotions and are carried because we've cultivated that within ourselves. And I just love how limitless it is. And I think that was God's design. When Jesus died on the cross, he didn't just die for our sins, he died that we would have life and life abundantly. And when I think life and life abundantly, I think going through the compassion method, being able to be full so we can live from that place versus living from our pain. Mm-hmm. How many of us are living from our pain versus living from who God created us to be?
Yeah. So, I mean, kind of a piece of homework for everyone as a challenge to go back and revisit those dreams you had when you were little.
Yes. What did you want to do when you were little? When did you first stop believing that you could be a poet, an artist, an engineer, a fireman, police officer, a ballerina?
Whatever. You're right.
Go back to those things. Doesn't matter if you're older, doesn't matter if your body doesn't work the same. You can still live from that place and express that in whatever way that you want to.
Yeah. Your inner world can keep on expanding.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I've seen my sister, who's deaf, which is pretty extraordinary. She's 30, she just turned 40, but at 39 years old, she took dance classes, deaf. Someone had to stand in the eaves and send her cues. She can't hear the music. She's profoundly deaf. And she took a dance class and performed at a recital at 39 years old because she loved music, because she could hear for 1 year. So she felt music, even though it was just her first year of life. She loved music and loved dance and never got to do it because she was deaf. And at 39 years old, she decided, deaf or not, she was going to go and dance and perform.
And at a recital.
A recital in front of a whole auditorium, and she can't hear.
Scary. Wow.
No, totally. Like, I am terrified of doing that, and I can hear. I can't even imagine doing that and not hearing. And I use that example. One, I'm very proud of her, and I think it's pretty extraordinary.
Absolutely.
But also, she didn't allow her deafness, her perceived handicaps, to handicap her from doing the things that she loved to do, that were in her heart to do, even if she couldn't even hear. And I think that's such a testament to all of us, that we can do the things that are in our heart to do, even if we weren't able to do them because we felt like we had limitations that wouldn't allow us to.
So what are we becoming?
What are we becoming?
Less or more? Yeah, absolutely. She's becoming more.
She's becoming more. And
more of her true self.
Yes. And ultimately, we emphasize so much what we're going to do on this earth. But to me, when I see her do that, and that's not even selling everything and becoming a missionary and going and doing crazy things, but I think what she did was the same equivalent of that verse, that she wasn't allowing the things that limit us to limit her, and she was able to do the things that were in her heart to do regardless. I just feel like it's a lesson for all of us to be able to go back to, like you said, for homework. What are the things we stopped doing because pain told us we couldn't do it?
Yeah, they disconnected us from our caregivers. They disconnected us. Yeah,
exactly. And we get to go back even now and do that in whatever form that we want to do that in.
Yeah, it's good. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us for this episode, this part 2 of how the compassion method can empower you to live the truth of what the Bible says.
I feel more empowered just doing this podcast.
Absolutely. Me too. Yeah. I'm going to go climb a mountain now. So,
yeah, exactly.
All right.
I love it.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Until next time. Goodbye.
Yeah. Bye, everyone.